All right. Today, live review of the Wild Turkey 101 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. 50.5% ABV or 101 proof. Can you believe it? It's also got a turkey on the bottle. That's how you know it's wild. 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley. I believe this is chill filtered. Also, a couple little interesting factoids about the wild turkey you guys may not know. There's some I got some nerd facts that probably no one cares about. It was distilled at 128 proof and barreled at 115 proof, if you care. The barrels use a number 3 char heads on them too. So normally the whole barrel is number 4 char, but Wild Turkey has number 3 char heads supposedly. Wild. I know that's wild. This is about 6 to 8 years old, roughly, probably on the younger side. And apparently, Wild Turkey has a special yeast that doesn't make a crozan cake on the top. How they figured that out, I don't know. Wild. Maybe I don't know what that does to the flavor, but interesting stuff. But yeah, we will review this out of 100. 25 for the aroma, 25 for the palate, 25 for the finish, 10 for the texture, and 15 for my personal experience. This fine, a sophisticated Wild Turkey product here. Of course, since it's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, this is natural color. What? Can I answer the phone if it rings? I guess so.
I'm waiting for a package.
You're waiting for the package, but you don't want to get the package.
I will get the package at the door. I don't want to answer the phone.
You'll get the package, but you don't want to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad we recorded that.
What?
All right. Of course, this is your buck standard Wild Turkey. No, I guess it's not bucks. There's an 81 proof Wild Turkey, isn't there? But this is the one that most people would be purchasing. It's a pretty good value, you know. I suppose you go cheaper and get the 81 proof, but not particularly dark in color. And again, I don't know how the bottlings have changed over the years. I know they used to barrel it at a lower proof once upon a time. But my memory, the bottle I had previous to this, I felt like the coloration was a little darker. This one seems a little light to me. But that might just be because that was the first Wild Turkey I ever have, and I thought it was tastier or something, I don't know. But to me, this coloration seems a little light for the Turkey 101 that I remember, but that's some anecdotal nonsense that may not stand up to anything. I think the only Wild Turkey, I only had the Wild Turkey honey, and that was years ago when I was in college, yeah. So this is your buck standard turkey. Even at this distance, the volatiles out of the glass, I get some oak and I get some like buttery corn note volatiles coming out of the glass at this distance. It is loud and proud turkey. I think the immediate thing that hits me here, it's a bit oaky and it's also spicy. That's what they say about Wild Turkey. It's got a spicy kick. It's spicy. A little bit spicy, you know. That spicy kick in the Wild Turkey. You got a little bit cinnamon spice. A little bit cornbread. You get some oak in there. There might be a cherry fruit that is like a whisper tier. I live in a British kingdom castle with Sir Charles Frankel III and the cavalry. Really? That's wild. Where did you find the time travel machine? Just curious for my own personal use, you know. You get pretty much the like most of the typical bourbon notes. I'm not getting a sweet hit right away, but that'll probably come in a minute. That being said, the only like notes that are really prominent, I think, are the spiciness and the oakiness. The others are kind of really subdued. I'm hunting for them a little bit. It's not the most elegant nose. It's almost like caveman, like a caveman nose. It kind of like slaps you with the club, the spice club, and the oak club, literally. All right. So wild turkey 101 on the palate. Cheers. Man, big flavor on the finish. Kind of disappointing flavor on the palate. Right on the attack, you do get some of that oakiness, some of that spiciness, but it's not terribly sweet. You don't really produce much holding it on the palate, but as soon as you swallow, you get a good spike in like oak, buttery note, spicy note. Finish is like maybe short plus. Not the longest. Also not that sweet really on the outset, but we'll probably get some kind of brown sugar thing here in a minute. Yeah, mostly about the same. It's a little bit sweeter though. Maybe some brown sugar on that cornbread. You know, a little bit of brown sugar addition. A bit of vanilla is showing a little bit. Not bad. Yeah, some nice sweet vanilla kind of developed. I mean, for the price, pretty nice. This is cheaper than like most like is this even is this like this is like the same price as Jameson like regular, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to argue with this price point. Did you know if you stole 3 apples in medieval times, you'd be boiled alive? I trust you because you've told me that you're from the past, so you would know for sure. Yeah, surprisingly, it's the palate that's weak for me on this. Never really really. This is like one of those bottles that you don't really think too much about because of its like pretty conveniently priced casual sipper dram. But now that I'm like really trying to assess what's going on with it, the palate is really failing me. The finish is not, but the palate's really failing me. It's like a lot of times with some of these whiskeys, even on the entry and even the early, getting into the mid palate, feels like, oh man, there's not that much flavor, but as long as you hold it long in the mouth, eventually you kind of have some building flavors going into the finish. But this kind of like is pretty weak flavor actually, all through the palate. And then once you swallow, then you get a spike of flavor, which is kind of weird. It's really not hitting for me on the palate right now. Wow, you're a wealth of interesting information, Charles Matthew. I'll be so prepared if I find your time machine and go back to the past. Nose is pretty reasonable. It's not that sweet. Yeah, mostly on the like spicy. Actually, it's developing more on the cornbread right now, which is kind of interesting. Nose is probably the best part. Palate is definitely a little disappointing. Finish is okay. Maybe just a little, maybe a little short for me. Again, I think it's like a short plus kind of finish for me personally. It's a little bit lacking. It's a good intensity, a pop of flavor, but all right, we'll do one more, and I'll write some numbers on the Wild Turkey 101. Some good like cinnamon sugar on cornbread, kind of like thing, but it's not like super duper sweet. It's definitely like sweet like vanillas are kind of developing, and some like other sweeter notes, but it's not like overly sweet. Yeah, man. Okay, so I feel like I pretty much got the gist of what's going on. I'm surprised, and things that are surprising me is like how weak the palate is for me, and how short the finish is. That's actually kind of surprising, but I never really kind of thought about it too much, I guess. Like you said, the nose has been pretty good to me. The aroma's been pretty good to me. Easy 16 on the nose. All right. You focus on the palette. At a 25. Yeah, it's just like, man, there's a little bit of like oak, cinnamon spice, very light sweetness, very low in intensity. Especially for this proof. Wow. Um, huh. Man. Palate's like an 11 to me. Out of 25. It needs more. It needs more. Mr. Cap, how's it going? All right. I'll consider the finish here. Above freezing, show it shorts weather. Look, you're more Canadian than you think. Except we wear the shorts in below freezing too. Hmm. Start populating the cabinet? No. So the cabinet's here, um, but it's empty right now. Because like I said earlier, I want to like swap the places. I want to like put the black cabinet where the wood cabinet is. Right now it's empty. And I want to like have that one primarily be filled. But I might keep the boxed stuff on top of this other cabinet. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. I have to reorganize everything. All right. Focus on the finish. As soon as you swallow the spice and the oak spike, there's a very low sweetness. Turkey 101, yeah. It kind of just sticks on that oak a little bit. Ends like a little bit too early. Um, huh. Man, the finish has a good spike in intensity that I do like, but doesn't have too much going on with it is a thing. And it's a little short. Um, Man, finish is like 11. It's also not great. So out of 10, let's consider the texture. Which is probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something like that. Give it 5 for texture. And now, at a 15, my personal experience, it's not bad. The best things I have to say about it have to do with the what you get for the price. But when we do these, we kind of try to do the sort of price agnostic a little bit. I'm not concerned with the price point when I grade it. Just talking about the liquid in itself. So it's pretty reasonable bourbon. It's not that sweet. It's more on the oak and the spice. So that spicy kick, if you will. You get a good proof here. So that definitely helps it. I would hate to see this at the 81 proof version. I feel like the palate would just be dead on the 81 proof one. I'm actually surprised that this could be 50.5% alcohol and have the palate be as low intensity as it is. It's actually almost surprising to me. That being said, the price of it kind of like reflects a pretty good value, but we're not like going to be too concerned with the price on score. So, what does it have going for it? Pretty reasonable intensity of flavors on the finish. And nose was actually pretty nice, actually. The nose, by far, was the best part for me. Despite the fact that some of the typical bourbon notes were kind of like low profile and hard to detect, it had some nice development. You initially got some like corn butteriness with some oak and spice. You transitioned into some more sweeter notes, some sweet vanilla kind of developed. You never really got quite as sweet as some bourbons where you get like some syrups or caramels, brown sugars. Didn't really get there for me. But it did develop more sweetnesses as time went on. So it's pretty nice on the nose. Kind of a little bit on the spicy side if that's what you're into. But failed a little bit on the palate for me, and the finish is just a little lacking. So it's probably a low distinct. It's not entirely forgettable. But it's not doing very much to stand out other than being a good value for the price, but we kind of don't really grade stuff on the price. So I'm okay with giving it a 5, a big 5. 5 out of 15 for my personal experience, which is a barely distinct rating. So 16 and 11 and 11 and 5 and 5 is 48. 48 out of 100, which is okay. This is right on the line. 48 is okay, and 49 is good. So it's barely not good. It's okay. It's right on the line of okay and good. It's okay-ish, or goodish. Goodish, perhaps.